it.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Melody Smith and Shannon Roberta San Antonio. We're talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination and comments that people made following that. And we're talking about the consequences of those comments. Is that speech protected or is it not protected? So now I want to talk about some of the extreme things that could be said or were said and what the consequences resulting.
Okay.
And I have to go back to what the killer, the shooter, said in a text message that the authorities found. It was written that the shooter had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. And so the shooter here, he felt like that Charlie Kirk's speech was hateful. So have you been hearing anything like that from people on social media or friends of yours?
Mm-hmm.
They say that Charlie Kirk's speech was hateful.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen some people say that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, that was, I think it's subjective, the word hate, right? I mean, it can't be objectively defined like inciting violence or fighting words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all about the perception of the hearer and whether they think that it was hate or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You could say mean speech in the same way. It was mean speech or rude speech. Like, where do you draw that line?
We're just so diverse. You know, we're just so big, the United States, and we have been so tolerant of all different opinions, ideologies, religions. So you're going to have opposing views. You're going to have a situation where someone's a hardcore vegetarian, and if you eat a hamburger in front of them, they could view that as, oh, you're...
Microaggression.
Right. You aggressed me. You know, we're going to bump up against each other. It's one of the things, you know, that our country was set up to do, actually.
Yeah, so I'm a student of emotions, as you know, because
Yeah.
when growing up, we didn't talk about our feelings. It's not like we were oppressed or anything. It just wasn't important.
Okay.
And so I didn't know about emotions until I started doing business coaching. I had a consultant that said, Todd, I think you need help with emotional intelligence. And so now I know that there's emotions out there. And
I've heard of those.
And so I was trying to figure out why people were upset about Charlie Kirk and his explanation to people transitioning to another gender, that's impossible, that you can't be another gender. I didn't understand why that was so hateful. But through my study, I've discovered that if you attack somebody's identity,
Yeah.
it's very hurtful to them because it
Yeah.
questions their existence, right?
Right.
How would you describe that?
Right. I really, I think you're onto something. I think this is correct that you're trying to explore this. If you've made it something so integral to your identity, if someone comes against that, then it's like you're saying they don't have a right to exist. So that would be interpreted as very, very hateful. And maybe to you, you're just saying, but, well, this is what I believe. You know, I live in America and I have the right to believe this, and this is what I believe. And I'm used to having all these freedoms and protections where I can just say what I believe.
And so how is that different, Melody, than somebody celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk? Is it the same? Would that be hate speech if somebody said, "I'm glad he's dead"?
Well, I don't believe in hate speech necessarily in that way. I think you have to be careful what you say online, regardless. If you care about your reputation and how you're viewed, some people don't care at all. That's fine. But if you're employed by somebody and everything you say online is public most of the time, you want to be cautious. So
Right.
saying controversial things or just kind of wild things
Right.
could come with some consequences.
Well, do you think that it could come to a point where, because the Supreme Court doesn't define hate speech, so that's not a thing, but the Supreme Court does describe inciting violence as not being protected speech. So if I say that all lawyers are scumbags, is that going to incite some kind of violence? And so,
How dare you?
And so now the government's going to say you can't talk bad about lawyers because it could incite violence from lawyers.
You incited me to violence right now.
But do you
You
see
made me
where
feel
I'm coming
feelings.
from? That
Yeah.
now the media and people are going to just redefine what inciting violence is.
Well, how should
if
we
you
define
hurt
it?
my feelings,
Right.
that makes me feel violent. So thou shalt not hurt another one's feelings.
Yeah, I think that's a really slippery slope that the government should stay out of. I think in a society where we want free speech, you take on the risk that some people are going to say things that you don't like. If we start trying to regulate people's speech, that will eventually come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So this
We're
is-
moving away from that, though.
Right. So this isn't on the outline, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that mine?
No, it's mine. I can't get my phone to unpair from my
Oh,
iPad.
yeah. Sometimes it's convenient. Sometimes it's not.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
would
use-
rather it not.
I'm going to use this distraction to answer a burning question
Oh,
I
okay.
have, and I know it's not on the outline.
Go ahead.
You're younger than me. Do people still raise their kids saying you should be seen and not heard? Is that still a thing
Oh, not in my generation.
at all?
No.
Okay. Did it resonate with you?
Yes.
No, I think that has shifted for sure, where it's much more, maybe even a little too far the other direction in some ways. But no, I think my generation is much more,
You would never say that.
listening, really asking the child, how do you feel?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, my brain got stuck back there with
yeah,
your feelings.
When Erin was with us last week,
Yeah.
and she said that she became very passionate about foster children because she loves children so much. She wants to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how she put it, but I thought, I wish I had known this information 25 years ago, because my kids are grown now.
Yeah.
So their problems are well embedded, without me having had the lesson on listening to my children.
Yeah.
But this is related to the question I was going to ask. Are y'all teaching your children about open and respectful dialogue?
I talk a lot to my kids about things like this and just current events and share my thoughts with them. I really encourage them to think a lot, too, for themselves about things. And I think my kids have seen me have civil dialogue with people that I disagree with. So leading by example on that one is important.
Yeah, that's
Good.
great. How
Yeah.
about you, Shannon?
Well, first of all, I think you're a fantastic dad. I mean, I have evidence. I have seen evidence. I've met your children. And so I'm not so quick to agree with you that you made a mistake by a more traditional route. But I'm taking a very non-traditional route, and sometimes my parents go, but that's the world we live in today. And my children, even though they're children, they have the same vote as me. I mean, I was kind of raised that children were somewhat less. I mean, it was children are to be, I mean, I have wonderful parents. I'm not criticizing them. And they were advanced for their time. But my kids are having a very different experience than my childhood.
Do you talk to them about having respectful dialogue?
Yes, it's something we have to talk about all the time, especially with social media. This thing I always say about social media, that it's the new public square. It kind of brings up a lot of questions. Well, can you be regulated then? Because in the public square, you're supposed to be able to say anything. But, how do you navigate this? They're navigating something I never had to. My public square was a literal, like an actual square, like a physical space. They have access to the world.
Right.
They can click a button or scroll, and so
it's so scary.
It's so different.
Yeah. So since we've been talking about kids, there has been news reports about kids that have been expelled for what they said about Charlie Kirk's murder.
Yeah.
And
I saw that.
The news report is saying that Governor Abbott here in Texas called for some students to be expelled because he's saying that what they were saying incites violence.
I didn't see that. What were they saying?
That's a good question. I should have looked that up.
I'm curious.
Well, basically that he deserved it.
Okay.
Yeah, and
and how old were these high school students? Were they middle school?
The ones that he's calling to be expelled are college age.
Oh, college.
And so that leads to the code of conduct. So in addition to whether the government can prohibit you from saying certain things, when you sign up for college education, you're also signing up that you agree with the student code of conduct.
Yeah.
And so if the code of conduct says you can't do this, that, or the other, then you can't do it. I mean, you can be disciplined or expelled.
Yeah.
Just same as an employer could do. But we're going to have to take a break. Hopefully you've learned a lot about free speech. We're going to come back after the break and talk about religion and government elected officials, whether they should be expressing their religious views. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.